This is a Channel 5 News special report.
When he burst on the scene in 1984, Michael Jordan gave fair warning to the rest of the NBA that he was not just some rookie out of North Carolina looking for a place on the team. Michael was looking for a place in history. And in the 9 years of his professional career, he not only rewrote the book on the game of basketball, he captured the hearts of fans throughout the world. And today, His Airness is landing flight number 23 for what could be the final time. Say it ain't so, Mike. Good morning. I'm Warner Saunders.
And I'm Allison Rosati. What a shocker. In a matter of moments, Michael Jordan is expected to officially announce his retirement. Channel 5's Mark Greco joins us now live from the Berto Center with the latest. Mark?
Allison, this is the ultimate press conference. Every cameraman, every reporter I've ever known in this business from all parts of the country, from Dick Schaap to Tom Brokaw, to everyone here waiting for the arrival of players. Michael Jordan, his entourage, and the Bulls management. They are all here. The players are assembling in the hallway over to my left. Upstairs in the balcony, you see more media members, more members of the Bulls. Chairman Jerry Reinsdorf is here, along with General Manager Jerry Krause. Even the president of Nike, Phil Knight, is here. The assistant coaches, Johnny Bach and Tex Winter, looking over the horde here from the windows above. They're about to come down. As you know, we got wind of this situation as early as Sunday night and Monday. There were rumors flying around that Michael would hold a press conference. At that time, his agent, David Falk, denied those reports simply by saying there is nothing scheduled at this time. Then Mike Monroe, a reporter for the Denver Post, broke the story. NBC Dateline went with it last night, and it quickly spread like wildfire through Comiskey Park, where Michael Jordan threw out the first ball, and he immediately went up to Jerry Reinsdorf's box. When they got word that the word was out, the word inside the box was that Michael said, yes, it is true, the thrill is gone. I've done all I can do in basketball, and now I want out. Of course, the speculation among all the media members here is that Michael will not be able to stay retired, that the competitive fire will return, and that he'll probably be back in a year or so. And I'm sure that'll be the first question that he will be asked, if indeed they are going to take questions. All the Bulls players are here. Scottie Pippen, John Paxson, Bill Cartwright. Right over here you see his head looming above others. B.J. Armstrong is here as well. All the assistant coaches. Phil Jackson just poked his head out the window. So we're standing and waiting right now. There are several chairs at the podium, and we assume that everyone who is anybody will be addressing the media. And we will be here to bring it all to you. It is an incredible crunch here, as you might expect. Whether you agree or not that this should be the news story of the year, it is. It has just grown in leaps and bounds and taken on incredible proportions here. I don't know what the delay is at this point. We are 5 minutes past the scheduled time, but you know how these things are, Allison and Warner. We'll throw it back to you and come right back as soon as we have some activity.
All right, thank you, Mark. We do have some videotape from earlier this morning. Jordan arrived at the Berto Center just after 9 o'clock this morning. The way his Mercedes was guarded, you would have thought it was the president coming to the arena. Security guards ran alongside Jordan's car. It was followed by an entourage of others. Inside the Berto Center were some of his teammates. And let's go back now live to Mark Greco.
Yeah, they're coming out right now. Mark?
Here's Michael Jordan right now, taking his place at the podium, surrounded by security. He's with wife Juanita, holding her hand. Incredible feedback as the cameras and microphones fight one another. Representatives from the NBA, Nike, as we said. Michael all smiles, really. NBA Commissioner David Stern, even in attendance, as he takes his seat next to Juanita Jordan. Phil Jackson now sitting next to Michael. David Falk, Michael's agent, here as well. George Kohler, Michael's trusted friend and chauffeur, next to him. Jerry Reinsdorf, Jerry Krause, Scottie Pippen making an appearance here, along with John Paxson.
I'm going to talk first.
It looks like the Last Supper. And it certainly appears to be the last press conference for Michael Jordan for quite some time. Scotty Williams is here. Bill Cartwright in the background.
Introduce for identification purposes left to right. Curtis Holt, David Falk, Jerry Krause, Phil Jackson, Jerry Reinsdorf, I'm not sure who it is, Juanita and David Stern.
That was Brian McIntyre of the NBA.
Good morning. I know it was a late night for many of you. I'm sorry to get you here this early. I just have a few words to say, and then we'll hear from Michael. This is a very bittersweet day. There's a certain sadness because the greatest athlete to ever play a team sport is leaving the game. But it's really, for me, a very, very happy day because somebody who I admire and respect is doing exactly what he wants to do, and I'm absolutely convinced that he's doing the right thing. About a year ago, when we were getting ready to begin training camp for the last season, Michael spoke to me about losing a little of the zest for the game and wondering about how long he would play. Of course, he did play, and we won another championship. Several weeks ago, at the Jordan Foundation dinner, Michael again brought the subject up and said that he was considering not playing. I asked him at the time not to make a hasty decision, to be sure that he thought everything through, and that when he came to that decision, it would be one that he could live with and one he was absolutely certain of. We agreed at that time to get together in a couple of weeks. We did last Sunday, October the 3rd, Michael and Curtis and David Falk and I met in Washington at David's home. Michael reaffirms his decision. I made absolutely no attempt to talk him out of it because I was convinced it was the right thing for him to do. I only asked him to do one thing, and that was not to make the decision final until he spoke to Phil Jackson and to Jerry Krause, which he did, I guess it was yesterday morning. And after meeting with Phil for an hour and with Jerry, Michael again was convinced he did the right thing. I think all of us who know Michael are convinced that he is doing the right thing. He's living the American dream. The American dream is to reach a point in your life where you don't have to do anything you want to do, you don't want to do, and everything that you do want to do. So we respect the decision. We're sorry to leave him, to see Michael leave, but it's really been an honor and a pleasure for me and for the people of Chicago to have had Michael here for 9 years. I can only imagine what it was like seeing Babe Ruth, because I think this man, I used to say, was the Babe Ruth of basketball. I've now come to believe that Babe Ruth was the Michael Jordan of baseball. Michael?
Thanks, Jerry. I think everyone knows exactly what the circumstances are right now in terms of my decision not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Doesn't mean I'm not going to play basketball somewhere else, but I've talked to all my confidants, my family, my friends, as Jerry has just informed you, to the organization. I even talked to David Stern as of yesterday and even today, and I'm very solid with my decision of not to play the game of basketball in the NBA. Reasoning being, I've heard a lot of different speculations about my reasons for not playing, but I've always stressed to people that have known me and the media that has followed me that when I lose the sense of motivation and the sense of to prove something as a basketball player, it's time for me to move away from the game of basketball. It's not because I don't love the game. I love the game of basketball, I always will. I just feel that at this particular time in my career, I've reached the pinnacle of my career. I've achieved a lot in that short amount of time, if you want to call it short. But I just feel that I don't have anything else for myself to prove. And I met with my teammates, some of my teammates this morning, and it was very, very emotional because they meant a lot to me, and we've shared a lot of time together over the last 9 years. Paxton being the guy that I've been with for the last 8 years, and other guys I've spent a lot of time for the last 5 years, and we've achieved a lot. We've gone through a lot of stages, and my success has been as much as their success. They've been a part of that. My family's been a part of that. My wife, my father, who, as everyone knows, has left us. And I guess the biggest gratification, I'm a very optimistic person. I guess the biggest positive thing that I can take out of my father not being here with me today is that he saw my last basketball game, and that means a lot. It was something that he and I have talked, and my family has talked for a long period of time. He advised me, quite frankly, to retire after my first championship, but we had many discussions, and my discussions was that I still had a lot to prove as a player, and I wanted to win more. At the end of the year, after we won our third championship, we talked once again, and I was kind of leaning towards that direction. And he knew that, and my family knew that, and it was just a matter of waiting until this time when basketball was near to see if my heart would change. And I went through all the different stages of getting myself prepared for the next year. And the desire was not there. And it wasn't like everyone had speculated about all the different media pressure and the different pressures that I was feeling. I deal with pressure all the time, and I've always said that I would never let you guys run me out the game. So don't think that you've done that. This is my choice, and I've always wanted to make it my choice. And it's a choice that I've chose to live with. And certainly it goes without some reservations a little bit, because I'm gonna miss the game. I'm gonna miss the opportunities of, winning extra championships and spending more time with teammates for 8 months and going on trips or whatever, and some of the things that men do in basketball. I'm gonna miss it. The psychological warfare that Phil put us all through in 8 months, I'm gonna miss that. But at some point in time, you have to look at the future. I think one thing about my father's death is that it can be gone and be taken away from you at any time. And there's still a lot of things out there for me to achieve. It's a lot of family members and friends that I haven't seen because I've been very selfish in my career to try to get to this point and make sure that I achieve all the dreams that I want to achieve. Now that I'm here, it's time to be a little bit unselfish in terms of spending more time with my family, my wife, my kids, and just get back to a normal life, as close to it as I could. It's going to be tough, but I'm very happy with my decision, and I'm very glad that I'm in a position to make that choice. A lot of times you guys do all the pushing, and now I'm taking the lead, and I'm doing all the necessary steps to walk away from the game when I feel I need to. But I'm glad for the fans and for the organization, for the support that they have given me and my family, and for the league. I think the league has gone from somewhere that a lot of people had little doubts about the personalities and probably the image, to where it's probably the highest rated and most watched professional sport that there is. And I think that means a lot to all the guys who played in that era, especially myself. So thank you, and hopefully I don't see too many of you guys in the future. And now you can go somewhere else and get your stories. And this is probably the first time I've met this many people without a scandal around. So it's really a great feeling to hear all the thank yous, and certainly the support of these people here from my corporations and Nike, Gatorade, all the people that I deal with. They've been very supportive of my decision, and I think that means a lot as a person and as an endorsee of that product. So thanks, and I'm willing to answer some of the off-the-wall questions that you guys are going to give me.
Michael, would you have made this decision had your father still been with you?
Certainly.
Would you make it?
I would have made it even if he would have been here. It was a decision that I was contemplating about when the season ended. So naturally, when my father died, it put a little bit different emphasis on life in general, but it didn't alter my decision no differently than what I had already, basically leaned towards.
You say you're not going to play in the NBA anymore. You're going to confine it to the driveway or the gym, or you're going to start
I'm in the pickup games.
You're going to start your own league in Europe or something?
I'm here. I'm going to play for my kids and my family, and pick up games when I feel the desire. And I'm still an avid basketball fan. I'm still an avid Chicago Bulls fan, and I will come to some of the practices. They haven't banned me from the practices like they banned you guys, and I'm still looking forward to watching this team be successful. A lot of people doubt this team because of my retirement. I don't. I just think that when when a father sends his kids out to college, that kid has to stand up on his own 2 feet. And I'm not saying I was a father of this group, but I took a lot of the pressures and some of the heat. But I know this team is prepared to step up and take what they want. And I told Scotty, I told BJ, I told John, I told all the guys, you still have the faith, you have the ability to achieve what you want to achieve. You just got to believe in it. And you got to go through all the determination processes that you go through every day to step on that basketball court and prove or feel you have something to prove. And that was one of the reasons that I stepped away from the game, because when I stepped on the basketball court, there wasn't anything else for me to prove. That's one of the reasons you guys have gone into my private life, so that you can't blame my basketball.
A year from now, are you going to have that competitive fire and try to unretire? Are you talking?
Will I ever unretire? I don't know. You know, I think the word retire means you can do anything you want from this day on. So if I desire to come back and play again, maybe that's what I want to do. Maybe that's the challenge that I may need someday down the road. I'm not going to close that door. I don't believe in never, and I won't ever believe in it to this point.
Get on somebody besides Gene Gricko.
Excuse me? Yeah, my home is here. My wife is from Chicago. I can't take her anywhere outside of Chicago. Her family's here, and my kids has only known Chicago, and I've built some great roots here, and I like to remain here. And you know, as long as you guys stay away from my house, I can have peace and quiet.
Michael Jordan fielding more questions now as Jerry Reinsdorf leaned over and said, talk to somebody besides Gene Gricko. Let's go back to Warner's.
I don't think I ever would have a normal life, but I think it could be reduced some, because there's going to be other stars, there's going to be other focuses.
Well, we're back. As is obvious, Michael Jordan has retired. Of course, he left a little glimmer of hope that someday he may decide to come back if the fire starts again in his life.
Yeah, he said never say never.
Never say never, and I'm not going to close the door totally. And let's talk to somebody other than Gene Gricko.
Why don't we?
Let's go over to Phil Rogers at Michael Jordan's restaurant. Phil, what's the feeling and the thoughts over there?
Well, Warner, everyone's been spellbound over here. You can see them all behind us still watching Michael Jordan's press conference on a small portable television here on the sidewalk. Let's talk to some of the fans. What did you think of what Michael had to say, and just how does this news hit you?
Well, obviously I was shocked like everyone else was, and first of all, there's some sadness and some shock, but once you get over that, you realize how much he's done for people, and if this is what he wants to do, then I applaud him for it. We rooted for him on the court, and we're rooting for him now. You know, thanks, congratulations, and I hope he has a great life. He's deserved it.
Sir, how about you? What did you think of what he had to say?
Well, he's definitely a class act. He cited, you know, that the press and everything that, you know, wasn't the reason for his retirement, and it was pretty much the death of his father. You know, he's a class guy, and, you know, wish him well.
Well, gentlemen, thank you. As you can see, the news is still hitting people rather suddenly. We're still running into people that are just finding out about it for the first time, even as Michael Jordan's press conference continues. Let's go live back to the Berto Center now and Mark Gene Gricko, where Michael Jordan continues to take questions.
All right, thank you, Phil. Michael is answering more questions. He said he was watching George Brett go through his final days, and on the eve of his retirement, Brett said, you know, when you've been on the roller coaster for 9 years, don't you want to ride something else? And he really took that to heart. We have lost the audio here, and technicians are scrambling to try to plug it back in. Michael said the toughest decision here was that he had to leave his teammates. Let's see if we can hear Michael. And there's a pause in the action here as someone kicked out a cord, and we have absolutely no audio here at all. Let's see if we can get a microphone up there.
I will. I'm blindsided on my right side.
Yeah, that's a great one.
What's that? Going to New York to play with Pat? Hope this works.
I think the lights went back on, so.
This working?
No.
Just kidding. Is it working now?
There's so many microphones here that someone has apparently kicked out what we call the moat box that everyone plugs into. And Michael can't hear the questions, and no one can hear his answers at this point as everyone scrambles to get some audio. Everyone seemed to be enjoying this technical snafu here. No, it's still not working.
Mark, this is Warner.
Yes, Warner.
He really does look very calm and resolute. However, that glimmer of hope is still there. Did you expect that?
Well, yes, Warner. Frankly, I'm sure everyone had to expect that he was going to leave the door open. A guy as competitive as he is can't completely shut the door. But right now, at this point, you can see it's nothing but relief. I mean, he is the happiest man in the world right now. Wouldn't we all like to be in his position? Financially secure, can do whatever he wants to do. He's accomplished everything possible in his career, and now he has refocused and restructured his priorities to where Juanita and his 3 children are his focus. And he admitted that he was very, very selfish in his career goals, and now he'd like to crank that magnetic personality toward his family and friends that he feels as though he's deserted over the years.
And of course, in order to achieve what he has achieved, almost complete selfishness is necessary in that situation.
Hold on, Warner. Hold on, Warner.
Well, it looks like we're still having some problems there. I guess when you bring in that horde of media people, that's going to present a difficulty, and somebody kicks out one of the wires. You know, you'll see somebody come in there.
I'm curious to find out who that was.
Yeah,
he's going to be infamous from this day on
that
out.
person will be known from here on out, yeah.
Yes.
Well, you know, it was emotional. I know you were sitting here. What kind of thoughts were going through your head?
Well, I had the pleasure of meeting Michael Jordan when I first arrived in Chicago and was amazed at what a gentleman he is off the court, as well as what an incredible player he is on the court. And I know I'm going to be very sad to not be able to watch him play, as I'm sure those of you who've been here for many, many years. And I know you met him when he first came into Chicago when he was signed on.
It was very interesting. We were right there. Yeah, let's go right back now. I think we've got things straightened out. So let's go back to Mark Giangreco. Mark, can you hear us?
Michael is
always had
answering the
something
question
to prove,
how he'd like to be remembered.
When that challenge was in front of him, he stepped forward and proved it. Loved the game, totally enjoyed it. Would play the game even if he didn't get paid $1. That's how much I love the game. But in these days of economical means, it doesn't happen as often. But I just want to be remembered as a guy who enjoyed the game and certainly played it at 110% every time he stepped on the court.
Michael, this was your competitive drive. What was the toughest thing about it?
Toughest decision as I was beginning was my teammates. You know, I really loved them a lot. I told them it was a lot of times where, you know, different personalities had to clash off the court or even in the locker room. But when we stepped on that basketball court, everybody loved everybody. Everybody had the same focus and the same goals in mind. And that's something that's going to be missed a lot. But, you know, I had to do it for my own sake, but I knew that I had enough memories to remember those times and those feelings. And that was very tough to talk to Phil and talk to the organization and tell them it was time for me to move on. I slept good. I had a great roommate. I felt real good. It was tough, you know, because this was a tough decision to make, and it was a tough announcement for me. But there's many nights I don't get much sleep, and I go out and play games, and when I'm nervous, I say what's on my mind, and I guess this is a great time to do it. No, because, Melissa, I've always told you, as well as everyone who's watched me, that I never wanted to leave the game when my skills started to diminish. Because once that starts to happen, I feel the foot in my back. You know, people pushing me out of the game, saying that I don't have the skills that I used to have. I think one thing that I like to remember about my game is that I tried to maintain high consistency levels every year. And I felt when the consistency started to diminish, the foot starts pushing. And I didn't want to get to that situation. I wanted to when I get to a pinnacle and I feel that my skills are still good, I'm not starting on the downside of my career, I want to walk away from the game. And it's been very fortunate that I'm on top. And I'm coming off 3 championship seasons. Coming off a great situation with my team where the team believes in themselves and a lot of them have stepped up and gained their identities and their own expectations for themselves. This is the perfect time for me to walk away. Can I remember any of? It will, always will. That's just the way life is. You're always going to have a better man out there somewhere. It may be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 10, 20 years down the road. It's always a better man somewhere. And
Michael talking
that
about
is not one of my fears. Because as long as I was playing the game, I believed in myself as a basketball player and certainly as a person. And hopefully when that person comes along and maybe have the impact as a Magic Johnson, Dr. J, myself, Larry Bird, Charles Barkley, you know, he feels the same way. But it will be another player in that nature. I would never do you guys' job because you don't have sympathy for normal people sometimes. And I think I like to give myself a little bit more credit to have sympathy for other people. No, I think a lot of people, a lot of times over the last few years have tried to make me the ambassador of the league. And I've never accepted that role. I think it's a lot of players who must carry that label of the NBA. So that if something like this happens, when a player reaches a point in his career he wants to step away, there's enough entertainment, enough people who are in the spotlight to carry that label. And that's what I think, that's where I think NBA basketball is now. You got a lot of superstars in this league, and with myself stepping away, there's other players to carry that label. Dr. J did it for many years for himself. He carried that label for a long period of time. I don't think there's ever going to be a person who want to accept that responsibility for themselves, by themselves. I never wanted to do it. I don't think Larry, I don't think Magic, any one of them wanted to do it, and I don't think they did. So I think basketball is here to stay, and I think you got other rising stars who can carry that label. And I think it will be successful continuously.
Johnny Rudker getting back at Michael after all those years. Whacking talcum powder in his face.
I guess he's even now.
Remember, Michael would always go through that ritual before every game.
Yeah, I heard you last night. You took it the wrong way. I don't appreciate what you said. My whole initiative was to do it today. And it leaked out yesterday. And the reason that I did it here today is training camp starts Thursday. I wanted to get it over and done with before training camp starts because I feel the team has to start on their own 2 feet, and they should start on the first day of training camp. That was my initiative for doing it today. It wasn't to overshadow the White Sox. If it was, I wouldn't have went to the game. You know, I went to the game to support, and I'm here to support the White Sox. I'm not here to overshadow anyone. I'm here to say goodbye to the game at this particular time so the lives of my teammates and of the franchise and of the Chicago Bulls move forward starting Thursday when training camp opens. That was my initiative.
Michael chastising another reporter for what he thought was very unfair reporting last night.
I should have expected that question from you. I expected it because I am in touch with my feelings about the game, about my skills to the game. I've always been in tune to what's right for me as a player and as a person in these circumstances. And that's what I went with. I went with my feel, not with the circumstances surrounding that. If I didn't have the desire to step on the basketball court and have something to prove, then I must admit that. I can't step out there and know that I'm out there for no reason. It's not worth it for me. And I don't think it's worth it for my teammate. When I step on the basketball court, I'm out there for a reason to prove something and to help my teammates achieve. If I step out there for any other reason, you know, it's not me. And I didn't want to go through that scenario.
Michael says the media would not drive him out, but he certainly gave
you
shots
some
in.
Games. I won't tell you which ones because I like to surprise the team and certainly eliminate you guys, bringing more pressure to that particular game. But I am a fan, and I still want to go to some of the games. I will talk to some of the players. I won't give any coaching. That's Phil's job. But if I can be a friendship to any of the players and help them through some trying times with the media, I'm willing to pass my advice to them, and that's not to talk to you. Excuse me? No, I've always respected the media. I will continue to respect some of you. You guys have a job just like I have a job, and I've always respected that. And sometimes you've gotten on my nerves, and sometimes I've omitted it, and sometimes I have admitted it. So I've always tried to keep a good, clean relationship with you guys, and I don't think I have any bitterness towards you guys as I walk away from the game. I'm not a hateful type of person. I don't carry no grudges or, when I'm walking away with a clean slate. And I wish you guys well in your careers as reporters as well as, my teammates in their success.
Michael, what is your contract situation with
my contract situation? A lot of people had a speculation that I'm leaving because I'm not getting paid these astronomical dollars that some of the other players are getting paid. I signed my contract when I signed it. You guys have known that for years, that, when I put my name on that dotted line, I'm not going to go back and cry about what I'm getting paid. I've always put it in a situation, as you guys probably deal with in your own profession, if you deserve a raise, you will get a raise. I will not ask for any compensation because I'm walking away from the game. I didn't walk away from the game because Larry Johnson got $84 million for 12 years. That's great for Larry Johnson. He had the leverage. He should do so. If anybody else come in the league and they got the leverage, they should utilize it, because your length of prospering in your abilities in playing in the game is very limited. So you should take advantage of it. I'm very happy with my financial situation, and I will not sit here and twist Mr. Reinsdorf's arm or whatever and ask him for a compensation as I walk away from the game. He's been very straightforward with me as much as I've been straightforward with him.
Will you stay with Nike and Gatorade?
My contracts have been extended to 10 years, playing basketball and not playing basketball. And that's something that's part of the relationship that we have had with my endorsees. So I expect that to continue, and with the people, with my endorsees being here, I think that shows the support that they have had for my decision, and I don't think it's going to tarnish my relationship at all with them.
What is the drill over these 9 years? Can you pick out one or two in your mind, maybe a clean shot, one of the 3 titles?
The first title is probably the biggest thrill that I've had, because coming into the city of Chicago, it wasn't a bright situation, and we were not on top. We were not even in the middle. But I've seen every stage to get to the top, and the city's probably been waiting for a long period of time, because all they had to say was wait until next year. And it gives me great gratification that during the time that I played a game of basketball here in the city of Chicago, they don't have to say that anymore. They got bragging rights all over the country. For many years, it's been known as a gangster town. Now it can be known as a championship town. And hopefully the White Sox can carry that on, as well as other sports. But that's the fondest memories that I can have about the city of Chicago and its sports program.
I would say it's a pretty good bet that nobody wearing number 23 on the Chicago Bulls.
Question asked whether Mike
That wasn't a bet. Will be
You didn't bet.
retired or not.
I support Michael's decision.
No. Magic's got a whole different agenda than I do. He still wants to play competitively. I don't. I want to play leisurely, and I want to do it with smaller companies and smaller people than he's doing right now. And I don't non-support Magic Johnson. I support him. I'm not saying that's what I want to do. I want to do other things than to play basketball as an exhibition situation. I don't want to do that.
Want to be an owner?
Did I? No. No way. My heart has been here. I can't even think about playing for another team. That's not even a train of thought. No. My Olympic days are over and done with. It was great. I think every athlete who never really had that opportunity to represent their countries should do that. You know, either NBA or college, doesn't make a difference. It's the greatest feeling that you can ever go through. Anybody try to talk me out of it? A lot of people have. And I needed that, you know, that side of the coin to make a good picture of what my decision was going to be. But once I made the decision, everyone supported it because they understood from my point of view.
Things starting to break up a bit.
Out of 100%, I would say 95% supported me. Another 5%, you know, wanted to see me play. And it wasn't of selfishness. They just felt I had a gift that would be kind of missed. And that's the highest compliment that I can take in that circumstance. But I had to make a decision for myself in that circumstance and for what I want to achieve and what I had already achieved. No, Charles changes his number every week. And I did see him last night on television, and we've always talked about retiring at the same time. But I think it's a little different scenario between Charles and myself, being that I've achieved a lot in a lot of my goals, and I think he still has things that he wants to achieve. Sadly, that I couldn't hang around till he do those things because I was standing in his way. Now that I'm out the game, I hope he does, as well as Patrick, because he's a good friend, and other players. But I wish that we could have left the game at the same time, but it just wasn't the same focus and the same goal left for both of us.
Remember, Charles Barkley said he would have retired had his Phoenix Suns beaten the Bulls.
I'm going for the Bulls all the way. I mean, Charles, I love him as a friend, but I love the Chicago Bulls as a family because that's where I was bred and that's where we achieved a lot, and I live in Chicago. So I want the Chicago Bulls to continue on. Excuse me? Well, I was pretty much decided at that particular time, but I think what he made me realize was how short life is. And that was an era that I had to look at. You know, how quickly something could end so quickly and so innocently. Naturally, I was saddened by it, and it took me a while to deal with it. But I'm an optimistic person. I took something positively from it. And yeah, he had some decision in making me realize how valuable life is, and then that in turn made me make my decision even simpler. But I was leaning and very much in that direction way before he passed. Excuse me? No. If so, I'd still be playing. I looked at basketball. I even talked to Phil. And I asked Phil, quite frankly, is there anything for me to prove as a basketball player? And he thought for a second, and that's all I needed. Because if it was, he would have told me real quickly. And that's the way I left it, you know, basically. It wasn't anything for me to prove as a player.
Michael being asked about the prospects for the Bulls without him.
And we're sure it's going to be a great season.
We're going to take about 5 more minutes of questions for Michael. The other
Questions are getting to be a bit repetitive, and Brian McIntyre announced that this news conference will last 5 more minutes.
That's how I wanted to be remembered, is that, you know, I conquered a lot. What was very, very intriguing and very important was that when I got to the pinnacle of my career, I achieved practically everything I could from an individual standpoint and from a team standpoint. And it really made it easy to walk away while you was on top. And yeah, very few people do that. I was just happy that I was in a predicament to do that.
Jim Brown at all imagine that he's going to see the difference?
Well, you know, I mean, you're talking to a guy who was maybe 6 or 5 years old when Jim Brown decided that. I've heard Jim Brown was one of those athletes who did that, but that didn't have anything to do with my decision, and that's not a knock on Jim Brown. You know, I had to deal with what I'm faced with and deal with it what's in the way that I feel best suits me.
Michael, do you envision you might wind up missing the cheers, the accolades? I mean, a lot of athletes sometimes, and you've had so many of them over the years, so do you envision you might miss that?
No, I think it's been real good, and I've always been very fond of the respect that I've received from the home fans as well as some of the away fans. But I tell you, when I walk away from the game, I won't miss the cheers because it was there. It was there. I can remember those things, but I don't need it to live. I don't need it to survive. And that's very important for me. Will I ever buy ownership interest? No. I don't think so. I think...
Don't say never.
I won't say never. That's not in my plans as of right now. I don't know if I got the desire to do that. I see Jerry, he's living a hard life. I don't know if I can go through that. He's got to make some tough decisions, and that's tough. Well, I knew that would happen someday. It doesn't matter when, but I knew it was going to happen. When I walk away from the game, a lot of people, especially the kids, will be disappointed. But if parents are watching this and certainly could touch their kids, as you probably can touch your neighbors or your kids, is to let them know that basketball is great to play it. It's the enjoyment, it's the fun, it's a hobby. But it's a lot to life other than sports and to you know, football or basketball or whatever. And yet my life goes on. I'm still in love with the game. But at some point in time, everyone has to make a decision to move forward away from games. Either be it your choice or someone else's choice. And I've just been fortunate that I can make that choice now, instead of one of you guys pushing me out and saying I'm old and, you know, it's time for me to move on. So I know the kids are going to be disappointed, but hopefully they learn that Michael Jordan was once a basketball player, but now he's a human being, he's a man, he must continue on, he has a family, he got other things he must achieve.
Michael, besides golf and your family, what would you do?
In retirement, you do whatever comes your first thought. You know, it's relax. Enjoy the time that you've been deprived of for many years. I still have opportunities to get with my companies and do some certain endorsements and certain business opportunities within them, and that's what I would do whenever I feel that time hits me. But up until that point, I'm gonna watch the grass grow, and I gotta go cut it. Yeah, I'm capable of relaxing. I've been relaxed for the last couple of months. So I am capable of just hiding from you guys and doing what I want. I hope to. If I get a pot belly, then I start exercising. No. It's good for everybody to go through training camp, and it was fun going through Phil's. And yeah, I will miss it a little bit, but I won't miss it. The league is strong. I think David Stern has done a good job in making it strong enough that if this day came and everyone knew it was going to come, that it was strong enough to survive. This league will survive. It's got enough stars to take the places of the stars who just left the game. It's in different forms and different fashions, but it's there. And the game is still as entertaining as it was. It may be in different fashion and maybe not with the familiar faces, but the game goes on. It always will, and it always will be just as exciting, I think. And I think it's been preparing for this moment, and it's just going to move forward.
Do you consider the possibility you may miss it more than you think and want to come back?
Excuse me?
You've played for so long. You've done nothing but play basketball. After a year away, is it possible you
Would I
may
miss the sport?
Miss it more than you think and want to come back?
I'm pretty sure I missed the sport.
Want to come back?
To come back is a different thought. I can't answer that. I'm not making this a never issue. I'm saying right now I don't have the mental drive to come out and push myself to play for a certain focus. 5 years down the line, if that urge comes back, if the Bulls have me, if David Stern lets me back in the league, I may come back. But, that's an option that I would never close on. I like to have that option. And, that's something that I'm willing to deal with and take the chances with. Walking away from you guys in a few minutes. That would be a good step.
It's time for 2 more questions.
2 more questions now. They're getting to be very repetitive, and Michael, who started this press conference, is a very relieved and happy man, is getting to be a little irritated.
As I got more successful with the team and I achieved so much as an individual, I had lesser to prove. I started gearing towards that decision of when would be the correct time to walk away. And now is the correct time. I really feel that. I felt it in college after 3 years, and I feel it now after 9 years. I won't have any regrets. I won't look back. I will move forward, and certainly I think I will succeed wherever I move.
Michael, has this been an emotional time for you as you consider this decision?
Yeah and no. My mind's been made up. The emotional thing has been listening to guys try to give me an opposite side of the coin because they showed emotion, and that in turn made me feel really good and made me show emotions. But when I thought about it deep down, as I've thought about it for a long period of time, I was doing what was right. And that's all they ever wanted was what was right for me. Do I need a job? No. I never had a job. I don't want one now.
Any words of wisdom, like the next NBA superstar, Shaquille, what words of wisdom would you give?
Well, I mean, not just to a superstar, but to any player. As I talked to my teammates, and I told them, this day is going to come for everybody. Enjoy it while you have it, because it's very limited, and it is a treasure. And even with Shaquille and these other stars coming into the league, you'll be a star for a while. You may get tired of it. You may want to step back. It's always your choice. When you do it, don't have reservations. Be happy with your decision, like I'm happy with my decision. And I don't have any reservations about it.
And Michael Jordan has completed his final news conference.
My special contribution was the tongue. You never saw anything like it, and you won't ever see anything maybe not like it again. Thanks, man.
Michael Jordan getting a round of applause, saying that he leaves us with the legacy of his flapping tongue. Shaking hands and hugging Commissioner David Stern. Hugs all the way around at the dais. Now the media moves in for even more pictures, and I'm sure people will try to ask him the same questions over and over again. Security now ushering Michael out, and he literally walks away from the game that made him the most famous face in all of North America, and I dare say Europe. A Muhammad Ali impact personality of this decade, for sure. Michael can't get away from still more reporters that are looking for that elusive, exclusive soundbite.
You know, Mark, Mark, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, Warner.
Some of that smoldering anger, however, with the media did erupt today.
Yes, he certainly was chomping at the bit to take his shot at certain members of the media. He was deeply hurt by the way he was accosted when those gambling stories came up about his junket to Atlantic City and so forth. That really hurt him deeply, and as we mentioned earlier, he always feared for the safety of his family. And just to quickly recap, Michael said that he had already made up his mind about retiring before the death of his father, but that in losing his dad and his best friend, that simply reaffirmed that he had made the right decision and accelerated it. If you joined us late recapping the chain of events, if you care about the chronology of this decision, Michael came to Jerry Reinsdorf last year and said, you know what, I'm not sure I want to play anymore. I've lost the fire. Then a few weeks ago at the Jordan Foundation dinner, he went to Jerry Reinsdorf again and said, you know what, I'm still thinking about retiring. David Stern behind me answering more questions. And then October 3rd, just a couple of days ago, he said, I have made my decision. I want to retire. Reinsdorf at that point said, don't make a hasty decision and at least give Phil Jackson the courtesy of a conversation. Talk to him first. After he talked to Phil, they went with it. And so he is a very relieved man. But yes, Warner, he liked getting some shots back at certain members of the media today.
Well, it's very interesting. You know, he's the last, in a sense, of the J-boys, Julius, Jabbar, Johnson, and now Jordan. But, of course, another Johnson emerges in Larry Johnson with a big, fat contract, and the game continues to play on.
Yeah, I'm sure that Grandmama will be more than happy to assume the torch. And, of course, Charles Barkley, you got to wonder how much longer he'll play. You know, he said that he would have quit had the Suns beaten the Bulls. So he still has a goal in mind. And David Stern now answering more questions. Michael has been ushered out of the building right now, and all the players are on hand being interviewed for their reaction. And so it's incredible. We have witnessed an amazing era, Warner, and I'm not sure that Chicago basketball will ever be the same, that's for sure. Michael maintains that the league will go on. Yes, it will, but they're going to need 2 or 3 or 4 superstars to fill his shoes.
Yeah, it's going to be
if
interesting.
not more.
That's right.
And I think Michael said it best when Chicago was known as a gangster town. Now we're known as a championship town.
Yeah, I think we're spoiled rotten in that sense now.
We sure are.
Indeed we are. Mark, thank you. Go back and let's go over to Phil Rogers right now. He's at Michael Jordan's restaurant. Phil?
You know, Warner, we've seen kind of a changing mood today. The day started very early at dawn with some real sadness. There seems to be kind of a mood of resignation here at Michael Jordan's restaurant. Everybody's wishing him well and kind of coming to deal with the fact that this is really true. This is Dave Mazzarella, who's the manager here. Dave, for you employees who are friends of Michael's, this had to come as tough news.
It was surprising news, but we're happy for Michael. He made a decision to leave at the top of his game, and you got to respect him for that and be very happy for him.
Now, the Michael Jordan you know, is he going to stay away, do you think? Or, he kind of left the door open to come back, maybe?
I couldn't speculate on it, Phil. I mean, it's his decision entirely.
You don't want to second-guess the boss?
Never do that.
Okay, thank you. Let's talk to a few of the fans here. Gentlemen, just your reaction to this news about Michael Jordan.
It's kind of a shock. I'm just glad I've gotten the chance to see him play over the last 9 years.
What about the effect on the team now? What does this mean for the Chicago Bulls?
They're obviously going to have to reload this year, and it's going to be time for Scottie Pippen to step up.
Sir, how about you?
I was lucky enough last year to play in Michael Jordan's golf tournament, and watching Michael and the life that he had to lead when there's 20,000 people out there and 19,960 are following Michael, I'm just happy for him. I really am happy for him. He's a wonderful guy, and now he's going to go live his own life.
One quick question. What do you think this means now for the city of Chicago and the hero image of Michael Jordan?
I just think we're lucky. I just think that we all ought to say just thank you. A young person like him, I mean, this is a city of winners. When I grew up, this was a city of losers.
Thank you very much. Warner and Allison, one note, just a few minutes ago, we talked to 2 people from Sweden out front. They came here just to see Michael Jordan's restaurant. They say basketball's not really a big sport in Sweden, but that Michael Jordan is a very big deal. We're live at Michael Jordan's restaurant. Phil Rogers, Channel 5 News.
All right, thank you, Phil. They say he is best-known athlete around the world.
He's a big deal everywhere,
And
everywhere.
Everybody today is going to be reminiscing, so let's reminisce just a bit. The three-peat began back in 1990 when Jordan helped bring an NBA championship to Chicago, and Chicago brought its thanks to the Bulls and Michael Jordan in Grant Park.
It's been 7 years. Thank you. It's been 7 years since I came to this city in 1984. When I first came here, we started from the bottom, and we had to work our way up to the top. Right now, to this day, we're on top. I'd like to give thanks to the fans of Chicago. I'd like to give thanks to my 11 other teammates to the coaching staff, to the whole Chicago organization, and to my family.
Let's go back to Mark Giangreco at the Berto Center. Mark?
With David Falk, Michael Jordan's agent, confidant, and advisor. And David, can you take us through the chronology as far as you're concerned, how this decision came down?
I think early in Michael's career, he always looked toward the day when basketball didn't provide the motivation for him to compete at his own standards. I think Michael is a purist. And I think while the adulation has been rewarding for him, I think he always competed, he always marched to his own beat. And I think over the last 3 years, having won the championships and accomplished all the scoring titles, his father had advised him to look retiring after his first championship, and I think he probably wanted to go one step further than anyone had gone in recent years, which is to win 3. And having accomplished that, he really gave some serious thought to it early in the summer, and we all urged him to take his time and wait till training camp came. And there's a certain biological time clock athletes have, and we hoped that maybe when October came around that the itch would come back, and I don't think it did, and I think he sensed it, and therefore it was really time to move on.
What will your relationship be with him now? What plans do you think you might have for him, you might suggest for him?
Well, we've structured his marketing program to go long-term, as he indicated today. He's got a number of 10-year agreements that we're going to have to oversee and manage and implement, and Michael in the last few years has become much more than a client to me. He's become a very, very close friend, and I hope we really get a chance to enjoy our friendship now without the maddening crowd, so to speak, and I'm sure there'll be new challenges for both of us, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Kind of a relief for you. You don't have to play the role of protector so much.
Well, it's
sterilizer and media diversionary tactic man.
I think that it's been a wonderful experience for me for the past 9 years. It's been a great honor to represent the greatest athlete in the world, and something that has been a great ride for me, and as I said, it's not over. I think that our relationship will grow and continue, and hope we can find some new challenges, do things that haven't been done before outside of basketball.
Interesting you left the door open, though, to come back.
Well, I've urged him to do that. I think that's something he loves, and you should never foreclose your options. And as an intelligent man, I think he embraced that idea.
David, thank you very much. David Falk, Michael Jordan's agent. Warner?
All right, thank you, Mark. And that concludes our special report. We're going to leave you with just some of the highlights that Michael Jordan showed all of us here in Chicago on the basketball court. And, of course, our team coverage of Jordan's announcement today that he's retiring will continue.
And now some highlights from the greatest.
On the next home, your ex won't pay alimony, how to bill him and collect those checks.
Galloping gourmet Graham Kerr whips up a no-fat pasta sauce.
Plus, the man behind Michael Jackson's Thriller shows you his Halloween makeup tricks.
There's no place like home.